architect Keyur Vadodaria, co-founder of PVDRS, Architects and Interior Designers at Ahmedabad.
Hello, I'm Megha Patel-Vadodaria, an interior designer and co-founder at PVDRS. Art is something I can say consciously or subconsciously. Of course, it's always around, particularly in a place like India, maybe elsewhere as well or everywhere. But particularly here, there is something maybe you were not aware about or I was not aware about, and you have been experiencing since your childhood. You have been making things, you have been, exploring certain materials. It probably starts from there, building very profound memories and shaping you in some way, the character that you are, your likes, your dislikes. And somewhere deep down, it does continue, particularly in a field that we are, creative field, where you think about materials coming together in a meaningful way, sometimes in only a visual way, in a tactile way. And I think it can be a reflection of everything that the way you have lived or whatever you have experienced so far in your life. And perhaps this applies to every single individual.
For me, I think the connection to art, if I can trace back, goes back to my early days at CEPT University, where I was studying at the School of Architecture. And the first medium that I picked up was the pencil and the pen, and making, even before making drawings, we were sort of taught how to use a pen or a pencil and create lines of various thicknesses, fonts of various types, and the whole idea of rolling a pencil and how you can actually change even the width of a line the moment you change the angle of the pen. And I think that then led me to exploring various presentation techniques of my designs. But again, that was inspired more from the great Sri Lankan architect Jeffrey Baba's work. So I think from that day to today, I'm always attracted towards line drawings, paintings or artworks which have line drawings. And I think that has a lot of, it's also a craft, it's also an art in that sense, how you really use a single pen or a pencil and you can create various forms or shapes and textures and scales with it.
Oh, it's an expression, I think. Expression of yourself, expression of probably what you connect with, expression of your memories, your comfort, where you take or gain energy from. It has many things that art can provide, and sometimes I think it doesn't have to be necessarily per se an art piece in a formal way or framed art piece. I think art goes beyond, right? Through material, through textures, expressions, and a lot more beyond that. So it's about what gives a person a sort of comfort and peace and that resting point. Sometimes even what gives a person to enjoy or to celebrate with the loved ones and dear ones. And so it's from solitude to togetherness. It can be a very silent companion all throughout that you can hold on to. So that everything in between can be an expression of art.
Yeah. And I think it also becomes a point of conversation at times, because art, there is narrative behind it, and there's interpretations. So we've discussed with clients, and they've told us many times that this particular artwork in this particular space that we've put has led to certain conversations and discussions. So it adds a lot more than a color or it's much more than an object in space. what we do is right from the onset. So at PVDRS, I kind of lead the architectural design, and Megha leads the interior design. So whilst we work together, what we do is at the point of space planning, there are certain important points of pause, which I call, which are basically certain walls, which at the very conceptual level, we are aware and conscious that we would be putting a certain artwork on that particular wall. And now at that point of time, we wouldn't know which artwork is going to go on that wall. But we actually design such that at least there is this background which we are creating, which will receive the artwork at the right point of time. And obviously when the project comes towards its end, towards the completion, is when then Megha takes that further and gets the actual artwork in space.
It's in more ways, actually. In some of the projects, even art has, because over here I'm talking about art as a focal point. There is something which is a resting point or a focal point where your vision stays in that particular space. And in fact, there are a number of projects where we have used art as an expression to extend that horizon. So with the glass, I'm not sure how effectively I'm able to explain to this. I'll try and break this down. Like for a particular project where there was a space, a limited space, whichever size, but then the art was consciously put towards the far end of a particular corridor to visually extend and connect that gathering space, and it has effectively worked. And it was a conscious decision, and it is worked for a number of places. That visually, how can you extend boundaries in your interior spaces very consciously? So the room is for example, if there was a glass wall in between for any reasons, and when I am actually giving attention to that rear wall, then naturally my vision stays or extends to that particular wall and helping me extend my visual space. Physical space could be still the same, but I'm extending my connections. And I think that's what is very important in planning of where you are actually placing the art. Then of course, the next is what sort of art that you are placing. That could be a separate decision making.
And then we've had clients who already have a collection of their artwork, some which probably dates back to probably 70, 80 or even 100 years old, or even older than that. And then we do an entire survey of all the artworks that they have in possession. And then at the outset, we try to, as far as possible, try to ensure that that this particular artwork will probably go onto this particular wall, and hence that wall has to be of a certain scale, a certain nature, or of a certain material. Probably it has to be painted white, or it has to be exposed concrete, or maybe it's going to be a wood paneled wall because of that artwork. So that is there. And then we've also gone to the extent where we've collaborated with artists, where they've come and they've actually done their actual artwork or painting on a piece of furniture that we've designed. So that is something that is done for that particular client, for that particular project on site by the artist. So, and I think that process was very, very interesting.
Absolutely.
At Antres we've done that, and at Kalhar also we've done that.
As far as the connection is established, yes, more or less. Of course, there are different factors in terms of budgeting, in terms of what their preferences are, what is their understanding of an art, again, based on their memories or their life so far and their fundamental belief. At the core, yes, if someone is an art collector or someone has been around art, then definitely the understanding is at a different level. If there are clients who have art from multi generations and carried on further, and Of course, they are the easy ones to speak to, even if we are talking about different set of art. But there is some understanding, and there is a certain acceptance also with artists, with clients who have not thought about it or not put into a context of, art per se. There is certainly that you'll have to start a conversation, a dialogue. Sometimes it's a two-way process. We try and understand their comfort level, not necessarily talking about a particular artist, but try to understand their comfort in terms of, let's say, materiality or way of expression or a particular style or particular craft, for that say. And then it's up to, I think, us designers or architect to how do you fit in that style or craft or material into your space and make it, fitting as a right expression in that particular space, if I may say so. So it's kind of an amalgamation of artist expression versus how you look at it versus, of course, client's expectation and acceptance. So I think it comes together as a whole process, perhaps.
Yeah.
But we have been successful in that as well.
Yeah. So with some clients, we do have to do a bit of a hand-holding, kind of introduce them to the whole concept of art as a medium which is very important in architecture and interior design, something that really completes the circle. And that's where I think places like this, the Abir Experience Center, becomes very important, whereby we can bring in our clients and we can show them the various artists' work. It's not just one artist's work on display over here, but numerous, and hence that helps us as designers to convince our clients to go for these art and support these artists.
Absolutely. I think even it would change from home to home, because ultimately you are responding to users. So when a commercial space where the user is unknown in a way, the majority of the part, or at least 50-50, let's say. Some people, yes, if it's your workspace, then you are a consistent user. But in a commercial space, you are also relying on ever-changing user, versus a home where it's kind of my space or our space. When that tech comes along, of course, the weightage is way different than what you will find in a commercial space, and hence the expression would be changing. But again, it'll depend on definitely the user profile that you are catering to, and I would also stress on their comfort zone. So I think then it becomes kind of an integral art than something put on the wall just as an expression. I think definitely art has that power of going beyond something compositional. It's the connection is way more important.
Yeah. And I think, in fact, in commercial spaces or basically workplaces, the use of art is very important in interiors, because homes have a lot more variety and a lot more sort of variations in terms of the spaces, personalized spaces, office spaces or workplaces at times are also very repetitive, because you have a typical office layout has a lot of workstations and you have a series of cabins and meeting rooms, and hence art has, I think, a very bigger role to play in the interior design of workplaces.
So personally, yes, something we have started a little late, but we have now, and in fact we have tons, and we have decided that again based on budgeting, we will allow each other to pick the art that we personally like. So a periodical basis we do that, and as far as the projects are concerned, It's multiple, like galleries, places like what you have, because I think when you speak to clients, and even for personal selection as well, I think seeing something in person is very, very important, particularly like something which is an expression of material and art. I don't think only visual medium or online can be helpful. Something that you can see it personally would have better merit because you're experiencing it. So the spaces like this are very, very important, even in convincing clients. Many a time, something's seen in brochures or online, and when you discuss or show them in person, has worked wonders. So definitely it does help.
So we've in fact made our clients, we told them they've gone to the MSU Baroda end of year show. They've gone to the India Art Fair in Delhi, and
Kochi being
also,
as well.
and
other than the exhibitions spaces and galleries.
So, and then eventually we source it from, as Megha was saying, from exhibition centers like this or the galleries. Fortunately, Ahmedabad has good amount of good number of galleries over here. But then we're also in touch with few of the artists from whom sort of we get customized artwork done for art projects. For example, Mori is there, and I think even some of the product designers or installations basically are customized for our projects.
I think this is perhaps the best time when the visual media is available. This could be probably a positive light, and hence even regular client and any average client is also little bit becoming aware, with or without any prior knowledge, is becoming more aware about that a particular space, their home or whichever space, would need something. So this discussion is easier now with the bombardment of social media and the online platforms that they are. So this could be taken in probably a positive light. Yes, sometimes it's too much, but certainly it has started a conversation which perhaps was not there for quite a few of them or quite many of them. So it generates a dialogue. And of course, when a space like this is there, visually it is possible to connect, then it becomes even more fruitful and positive. So end result becomes way more positive when you can, yes, have a conversation about it.
Yeah, I think art, the whole art world in India is amazing. And if I see over the last 5 years also, it has changed a lot. There are so many young, budding, upcoming artists. Art is no more something that can't be afforded for a start. Earlier, the perception was that there are a limited number of artists and only limited number of people can afford art. I think now good thing is that a lot many people can afford art. A lot of them are now getting more and more aware about what is art, what is good art for that matter, in various mediums, not just oil and canvas, but all sorts of mediums. So people are getting more and more aware about it. And I think in terms of creating more and more awareness, it's going to be a collective. So while as architects and designers, interior designers, we have a role to play in terms of taking our clients in the right direction in terms of selecting artworks for their homes. It's also organizations like yours and other art galleries and promoters of art who needs to create more and more of these events in various places or various cities, which will then generate awareness and give a platform to artists who are not yet so famous, but who are probably from the hinterland of India. They need to be given that platform.
The connection is very important because, as I said, that the social media and online presence is positive. Simultaneously, it's very confusing also. So not only for clients, perhaps for us architects and designers, there could be a need of hand-holding and making everyone aware about the scenario. So no matter how much ever we have in terms of pool of the talent or pool of the artist, unless and until these connections are made through the right channels like this, it doesn't work, it will fall apart. So it has to work as a system in order to reach from point A to point B. So yes, it's everybody's role and have to come together.